This thing is wild. It's one of the most perplexing ancient artifacts that I've seen. A very mysterious looking object for sure.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the land of Chem. I'm your host and the author. My name is Jeffrey Drum. Thank you all so much for joining me again.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Now, today we return to investigate the industrial chemical manufacturing pyramid site that houses the mysterious Sakefune Ishi megalith, whose function was finally revealed in the previous episode, and you will get to see up close in person all of the features of this spectacular fluid dynamics driven system. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that is it for today's intro, so without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, everyone, here we go with tonight's episode. Now, to begin, in episode 151, I presented and explained my hypothesis on the function of the Sakefune Ishi megalith, which operated as a chemical mixing and distribution system, essentially a control switch mechanism that was utilized to manage the allocation of specific aqueous chemical solutions being distributed into different areas of this industrial pyramid facility. And now I'll go ahead and run the simulation so you can see this component in operation before we commence the on-site expedition. Let's go. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I hope you enjoy Sunday Site Visit 96, exploring the Sakefune Ishi Pyramid Complex in the Asuka village of Nara, Japan.
It must be just around here, no? Where do you think this was? Where do you think this was?
All right, everyone.
Like this one. We are looking at like this one.
Welcome back.
So where?
And we have returned to a site that I have been very eager to investigate after our last Japan research expedition. Ooh, and it looks like there's some guys working down in this pit today, cleaning out the system. All right, so I won't spoil the surprise quite yet. But in the previous research episode, I presented my hypothesis on the function of the Sakefune Ishi stonework. So today we have returned to examine this component in person. And as presented, there is some research that connects four distinct components of this fluid distribution network, and in my opinion, a chemical manufacturing system. So the first component is the tiered pyramid mountain itself. Second, we have the Sakefune Ishi mixing and distribution control system component. And we'll talk a little bit more about that hypothesis when we get to the stonework itself. Third, we have a fluid distribution channel. And fourth, We have the subterranean tank system and the termination of the entire complex here in the turtle stonework, which this also continues further. And I'll show, here we go. You guys saw this. It's my lovely wife Alexa from Ancient Odysseys.
Take a look at this.
Okay, so here you can see at the top is the termination and turtle stonework collection bowl that we're looking at right here. Very reminiscent to the exact same type of system that was installed at the pyramid of Nayusere in Abu Sir, with the red quartzite conduit and collection bowl network. And you can see down here that the system continues further. So this is the extent of the excavation that you can see here. But all of this has been reburied. There's more of this conduit that leads in this direction that has now been completely reburied under the modern parking lot. So today we're going to head into the bamboo forest that is now growing out of the top of this pyramid mountain. We will see if we can find any remnants of the Kurama Ishi, the stone conduit that was connected into the Sakefune Ishi fluid mixing and distribution control component. Ohio. You guys ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm excited.
And our good friend Teru has rejoined us for this expedition. We just had a fantastic wild voyage across the Wakayama prefecture. We visited the Grand Shrine in Mie, the Ishi Grand Shrine. Really, really awesome stuff. And you can see all of that content either on Ancient Odysseys or our travel channel, Let's Go with Lex and G, both linked in the video description below. If you haven't already, please go subscribe to Ancient Odysseys and Let's Go with Lex and G so you can see all of the amazing content from the rest of our adventures that's not specifically related to ancient site research. Awesome food and travel stuff. All right, so now we're gonna go into the bamboo forest. We're gonna investigate the sort of archaeological area that shows that this mountain is an artificial pyramid mountain. They did some excavations, and there's a section of the excavation on the side of the hill that shows the, for lack of a better term, casing stones of this pyramid structure. Arigatou gozaimasu. Let's go. All right. Okay, so we just came from this area here. So here's the termination, the subterranean, let's call it storage chamber, the termination and collection bowl. And I think we confirmed last time that it was granite, correct? The turtle stonework. Was
Yeah,
granite.
I think two kind of stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them is.
Okay. And here is some of the exposed original masonry of this artificial pyramid mountain. So you can see here the tail end of the stone, and this stone would continue all back through this area. So this is a tiered, stepped pyramid structure. So now we're going to head up a bit further and check out this control component, a switching system. Now there's also reported to be another component here on the hillside. I don't know if that is still exposed. I think we're going to take a little walk through this area here to see if we can find it. All right, here it is, the Sakefune Ishi. And before I provide the formal on-site explanation, remember that this is not the whole piece. This side here was broken off. These channels continued out. So there was more to this component here that, in my opinion, was intentionally destroyed in the removal of what was housed in these basins and channels. Here you can see some coring marks where this thing was broken off. The rest of this edge here also continued out, and there were further pieces that came out of this system. This thing is wild. It's one of the most perplexing ancient artifacts that I've seen. A very mysterious looking object for sure. All right, so we're going to explore for a bit, and then I will resume here in just a moment and explain exactly how this thing worked.
All right, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the video, and please remember to subscribe for more content if you're interested in the technology of ancient civilizations utilizing physics and chemistry, and the function of the Egyptian pyramids and other ancient structures from around the world. If you want to help support the channel, you can pick up a copy of the Land of Chem book and grab some merch at thelandofchem.com, and for access to exclusive content, Subscribe to the members only channel now with 19 massive research episodes revealing some of my most groundbreaking discoveries thus far. Links to everything in the video description below. Thank you all so much for the support. Now, back to the video.
All right, so I was just searching through the bamboo forest area for the component that you can see here in between the Sakefune Ishi and the turtle stone collection bowl at the bottom, the Kurama Ishi, the conduit. And if you want to see all of the diagrams, go check out the previous research episode presenting all of this information. And the archaeological evidence suggests that the Sakefune Ishi stonework complex, including the pyramid, is part of a water distribution and utilization industrial facility of some sort. This area in Asuka is directly connected to ancient metalworking and industrial areas. So this originally looked like this. And of course I had to go back to my own episode here because this diagram, again, I'm having to look at it on my phone, is the only complete diagram that I have seen anywhere of the Sakefune Ishi. And you can see that on each side, again, go back and watch the previous episode if you want to see this diagram more clearly. You can see on each side of the stone, there were originally terminations that led out and off of this main component. So what you can see here is the initial part of this fluid switch and distribution system. Okay, so we have the inlet here, and originally this thing was tilted up, and it is most likely not in its original position. It was located somewhere at the top of the hill in conjunction with this turtle stone collection bowl and the Kurama Ishi conduit here at the top of the hill. And it's proposed that it was originally tilted up like this. So you have the inlet here. That flowed down into the central basin here. And I hypothesize, and I would propose, that there were vats or vessels or basins here where different chemicals could be introduced into mixtures at each point in this mixing and distribution system. And in these channels, there may have been pipes. Again, out of each one of these basins that you can see here, there was another channel leading out of this main system, which directly implies that something went in and then out in several different directions. And if there were valves installed here, like a simple valve that you could lift up and close, lift up and close. So again, imagine the water or fluid coming in here, fluid more accurately, aqueous solution of some sort of chemical flowing through a pipe, and there would have been a large container here, perhaps with an opening where additional either solid or liquid materials could have been introduced, and a valve closure here. So when you mix everything up in this basin, you open the valve, and it flows into the next one. And by using this system of valves, you could open and close the system and control where the fluid went next. So you could have distribution of that into just one area by closing this valve, opening this valve, and opening this valve. The fluid would flow down into the primary basin down here. You could add another component into the mixture here, and it would go straight out of this channel. If you wanted it to go in this direction and in this direction, you open this valve and then it goes in here. So it's a switch to control the distribution into different areas of this entire complex. So my initial hypothesis and thoughts about the structure was that it had something to do with metal, molten metal. And I do think that whatever was installed in here, that these were most likely metal components, metal pipes and metal basins and vats, you know, with the little opening here, so you could put more components into the mixture, whether it be solid powdered particles that you could mix in or fluid. So the tricky thing about molten metal is you got to keep it hot. And if you were to pour molten metal into this thing, it would solidify. And then it wouldn't continue flowing out of the system. I also considered the fact that this is perhaps a mold for molten metal. But given that we have a water mixing system down at the bottom of this complex, because again, this is a connected network of 4 distinct components. You have the pyramid structure itself, you have the fluid mixing and distribution system, you have the channel and the collection bowl. This entire system is not indicative of a, you know, metal mold fabrication site. It's all about fluid dynamics. So all of these interconnected components had something to do with this fluid. And again, what was going in here, you know, that's subject to interpretation and use your imagination. I do believe it has something to do with metalworking. Whatever fluids they were mixing up in here had something to do with the metalworking industrial complex in this area. I don't think there was metal in this. I don't think it's a metal mold. I do think that there were metal components, metal pipes that ran through this system. Again, a system of valve closures that would allow the controlled distribution of fluids to different areas of this network. And I would imagine the reason they broke this thing off was to pop the metal pieces out of here. It was intentionally destroyed in the removal of the metal components, very similar to what we see across the sites of Egypt. And now that this is my second time to see this thing in person, having explored the research that was presented in the previous episode, and again, seeing it for my second time, that seems like a fairly reasonable hypothesis. But it's a pretty weird looking system. And again, you have to imagine that here at the inlet there was probably there was something else connected into this. So we're only looking at 4 components: the distribution mixing switch, the collection bowl at the bottom, the distribution channel. These are 4 components that are now isolated from a much bigger interconnected network of functional pieces, because there would have been a whole piece that connected into here. What was it? And where is it? And again, there would have been a branching network that came off of this thing. The terminations of these channels went somewhere as well. So where did all that lead? This is one of those sites. Bring a damn GPR out here and find out what it is and what is buried beneath this structure. My wife Alexa also had an interesting observation that this may be a map of sorts to indicate the interconnected components of this system. Perhaps this is a map of subterranean chambers. And I like that idea because there are absolutely chambers embedded within this Pyramid Mountain structure. And until they come out here and either do further excavation of the site or non-invasive ground penetrating radar scanning, you could actually remove some of the mystery surrounding this thing and actually get to some answers. And just again, looking at this thing, there was absolutely, in my opinion, it definitely appears like there would have been pipes or something inlaid in here. I do like the idea of vats or containers here where you can mix different components into your fluid solution. Again, the term that I used during our previous Japan expedition, bizarre megaliths, absolutely applies to this thing.
All right, everyone, that is it for today's video. This was Sunday Site Visit 96, the Sakefune Ishi Part 2. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and in the next episode in the series, I have a spectacular research video focusing on the lightning-powered, electric field-driven ammonia synthesis reactions inside the Red Pyramid of Dashur. This is an episode you do not want to miss, so if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube. Remember to click that little notification bell so you don't miss out on the new episodes that premiere twice per week. Please like, comment, share, and stay tuned. If you want to help support the channel and get access to exclusive research content, check out the Land of Chem members only channel and thelandofchem.com if you want to pick up a copy of the book or grab some merch. Both linked in the video description below. If you want to follow me on Instagram or on X, my handle is @thelandofchem. Also, don't forget, please go subscribe to Ancient Odysseys, Let's Go, and Egyptian Trash Cats for all you cat lovers out there. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you all so much for the support. I think that is it for today's episode. So I will see you
next time. Yo, are you still watching this? Please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button. New videos coming out every single week. And check out this other episode. Come on, do it. Do it now.